Well, here we are at the fabulous Mugsy's. We just love it here, one of Flin Flon's premier places to lunch. And they're just famous for their soups and their sandwiches. Come and check it out. And I'm here, of course, with the fabulous Crystal Kolt of the Flin Flon Arts Council. And she is one of the busiest women in Flin Flon. She is just up to all kinds of shenanigans. And we're going to just talk briefly for a bit about how fabulous Culture Days was.
Well, isn't that amazing, Susan? I think last time we talked, we were thinking there were about 60 activities. It ended up being 75 events that were available for people to
Wow.
check out and experiment with the arts, and it was just a resounding success. I'm so proud of our community and the area for getting involved in this, and the museums and the schools. It was just an amazing event.
It just feels like every year it gets a little bit bigger, more people get involved. This year we had some new events that were hugely successful. Check out the living book at the library was fantastic.
Just so sophisticated and yet warm and inviting. Oh, I'm sure she's going to do that again. The library, and there's so many. I hope it's exactly the same, because I only got to one person, and I wanted to speak with every person that was there. It was
And
fabulous.
explain what check out a living library, living book is.
Well, the premise is never judge a book by its cover, and the living book is that they had 8 individuals come in from different walks of life and different experiences to talk about their lives, and she had it set up very elegantly in these little private tables with an introduction of the person that you could speak to, and there were people like Steve Bajczak, who was in Afghanistan on a few tours, and there was, I can't remember all their names, I'm sorry, but there was
Cece Trubiak.
Trubia.
Performer.
Yeah, performer. And then
Yes,
there was Jack Turner,
Yeah.
the hockey. There were so many, and there was Mrs. Harvey, a war bride. There was a fellow talking about tattoo art,
Right.
and there was Trey, who had this amazing journey to Canada, and it was just a wonderful time.
Well, and I know also another thing we did that I was super proud of this year was all the mentorship programs we had. And I know the one that probably affects me the most was the sound mentorship program, because sometimes it is really difficult. You know, you're in a lot of different situations, and sound is an art and a technique. So, having that mentorship was really wonderful. And talk about some of the other mentorship programs that went on.
Right. Well, that was Henry Krendler from
Yeah.
from Winnipeg, and and it's so funny because you bring these people to the community and their family immediately, and that is now like he should be Mr. Krendler. He's such an amazing artist and such an amazing sound technician, but he's now Henry to us, and he was a wonderful clinician. Also, we had James Gordon from the Manitoba Archives, and specifically the Hudson Bay Archives was in with the footage, Romance of the Far Fur Trade, and spoke with both the high school kids from Cranberry Portage, Flin Flon, and Creighton, as well as with the general public on Saturday. So that was wonderful. Gerald Cool was a huge hit as well.
Gerald Cool is cool.
Gerald Cool is cool. He's just so wonderful. People were transfixed, all ages. His artwork was actually at Denair Beach and at the Norva Center for 2 months in this area. At the Denair Beach Museum, North Gateway Museum, I believe it's called, and so we were privileged to be able to actually have this artwork here in our community, and even more privileged to have the artists here for a number of days to speak to students about this art, and as well as to the general public. So how lucky we were to have that. And
He's world class.
yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know who Gerald Cool is, he works with pencil, and he does portraits of Aboriginal people that are so touching and so evocative that he is just somebody that you have to check out. And he loved being in Flin Flon. Really loved it.
Yeah, and how wonderful for him to have the opportunity to meet our artists and our artists to meet him, and there's that kind of connection as well. And a third person we had, or is that four? I don't even know the number now. But we had James Paschke that came from the Winnipeg Film Group and was sponsored from the Manitoba Film and Music, as well as the Winnipeg Film Group, to come and to be a clinician and workshop our filmmaking group, and which is a new fledgling group now called the Central Canada Film Group. That's
very exciting.
Now, very exciting to have that in our community, and I know they're a very dynamic group that are going to do wonderful things, and so we had throughout the Culture Day weekend about maybe about 4 or 5 cameras going, and young artists, filmmakers, learning about the equipment, learning about filmmaking, and learning it from a professional as well. So we were fortunate to have that. Both of those were the sound workshop, and this were 3-day very intensive workshops as part of Culture Days, and so it was more than just a 1 hour. This is almost what you need to know. It was really detailed information. It was great.
No, it was wonderful, and also something that was new this year was Culture Shock, which was 4 bands in the beer tent, and that was a really exciting night, and it kind of felt like a night for everybody, and all the bands were wonderful.
They were, and people crowded in there, and we had our Twitter feed, which was really, really fun. We had an animated Flin Flon in, and which was a great addition, I think. And the bands were great. Like, everybody's still talking about Culture Shock.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying it's going to get bigger and it's going to get better, and no doubt. I think we're going to be adding tents. Because
I think we're definitely going to be adding tents. And, I know that Brent Lethbridge was the one who basically was responsible for that, and he's got big plans for next year. So watch out, Flin Flon, for more Culture Shock on that one. And then we also had some dancers come in. Janelle came in to talk about her.
Right. There were quite a few people that came to help work with a number of programs that were with the schools. The Superstar program, there was Janelle Hacko, who's originally from Flin Flon, and now she's a graduate from Contemporary Dancers in Winnipeg, and now part of the whole professional dance scene. And so she was our choreographer for Dancing Down Main Street as well, which I'm sure we'll talk about excitedly in a few seconds. But so there was Janelle. She did a hip-hop component to our a segment called Glee, which we combined choral singing with dance. To Soul Sister was the song, which was great. We had, sponsored by the Saskatchewan Choral Federation, Marcia McLean come in to work with the kids on the choral part of the Glee. And so that was wonderful. We had Michael Spencer, who's a master's graduate of fine arts that's in town right now, and he worked with the kids on collage. We had a person from the Manitoba Theatre Center come in and work with the kids on theater. They did zombie theater. How can you not love that? Of course, our wonderful Linda Sonnenberg-Jackson working with the mask makers. So that was amazing. And then we had Freeze Frame in. Anna Hovland was in to work with the kids. And that is already up on YouTube if people want to see the work that the kids created, which was
And what would
wonderful.
that be under?
If you just look under Culture Days 2012 Flin Flon, that should be there.
It's just overwhelming just sitting here listening to all the various people. I don't know how you put this together, Crystal. It's amazing once again. And so, yes, Crystal referred to Dancing Down Main Street. And I want to just really get this going next year. I want to have a big shout out to the schools. McIsaac, Hapnot, Ruth Betts, Many Faces. How many staff members, students, and parents can you get out? Let's create teams and make this the biggest Dancing Down Main Street we've ever had. We must have had 300 or 400 people.
Yeah.
The moves, I am a non-dancer.
Me too.
The moves are not hard.
I was scared at the beginning.
Hey, we had Clarence Peterson, our MLA, and George, our mayor, who are not dancers from what they say, and they were a part of it, and it is such a fun time
15
So
minutes, it was learnt.
that's right.
It was amazing.
That's right.
Wasn't it amazing?
Amazing.
I
And you can check that out on YouTube
yeah,
also.
it was great. And of course, Susan, there was your culture school for kids.
Yes,
That
which
was great.
yeah, it was fun, and we were so fortunate with Crystal calling in the good weather that we were able to be in the town square, Pioneer Square, which was really fun, and we had all kinds of people. Dixie Meikle made her fantastic. No, it was Bannock with her homemade jam. We had my mom made cookies. We had coffee.
I
We
tasted
had
those cookies. They were good.
free stuff, free giveaways, and it's going to be even bigger and better next year. And hey, while we're mentioning this, if there's anybody out there that would like to get involved with Culture Days, phone Crystal at the Arts Council. She would just be so happy to hear that there's other people wanting to work on this stuff. And I know I'm personally looking for volunteers for Culture Day is Cool for Kids. It's the 3 to 5-year-old program. We might extend it to kindergarten next year. So we were really excited about that. And well, really just the whole weekend, the Saturday night in the tent at Baker's Narrows and in what we call the Doghouse was also fantastic.
And a karaoke. Do you know we had over 500 volunteers for Culture Days this year?
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was 502 volunteers.
Holy.
Yeah, it's just so totally amazing. And if everybody sort of helps out even just a little bit, wonderful things can happen. So
That's right.
So it was.
Because we know you're working like a dog.
Well, you are too. Like we were all working pretty hard.
It was a crazy, wild, exhausting, exhilarating weekend. And my favorite part, I have to say, was being in the Norva Center on Sunday afternoon and hearing Mark Kolt and Dave Gunn artistically, create what they felt would speak to the pieces that were on the wall. And people picked these beautiful works of art and they just magically produced them in such a wonderful musical style. So that, if you've never been to something like that, that alone is really something to look forward to. So yeah, lots to look forward to with Culture Days next year. We'll be letting people know probably a little closer then what's going on. And so let's talk about what's coming up.
Well, there is so many things coming up. But there's the Flin Flon Community Choir Christmas concert.
Yes.
And
when's
just
that?
That is going to be December 1st and 2nd. Just before that, we have our Ham Sandwich, which is our theater group in town.
Yes.
They are doing our very first Shakespeare play, Midsummer Night's Dream. And
they always do a great job.
They are just fantastic. And so I'm so excited about that and so proud to have that in our community. It's important. We have Manitoba Theatre Centre. Ed Scarage is coming in January. We have Eve and Jeff Sawatsky, which is this wonderful team. He's like Michael Bublé. She's, a beautiful, gorgeous singer. And they just, that's super fun. That's a Valentine's Day special.
Nice.
It's something you have to do to take out. So, it's just moving on. I want to make a little dare out. I'm hoping Gian Gomeshi, if you hear this, that you come to Culture Days next year. That's going to be a little dig.
And dance down Main Street with us.
And dance down Main Street with us.
No, there's always an amazing amount of things going on in this community. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about visual arts or musical arts, whatever kind of arts you're talking about, we got it going on here. And most of it because of Crystal Kolt and the Flin Flon Arts Council. So we're
about 1,000 volunteers.
And 1,000 volunteers. So we're so appreciative of this, and thanks Shaw TV for letting us come on and talk about all the crazy stuff. And thanks to Dorian Kent for always being behind the camera. He's our producer and our cameraman, our makeup artist, our wardrobe consultant. He does it all. So, with Shaw TV, I'm Susan Lethbridge, and we'll talk to you later.